Today, I'm going to teach you how to find the right people to partner with in the real estate business. I'll share 5 warning signs to look out for and 3 methods that you can use to properly vet people before doing deals with them. Welcome back. This is Matt Cox, and this is the Saucetown Investor podcast. As mentioned in the intro, I'm going to take you through 5 ways to identify someone that may be sketchy or that you do not want to partner with. Partnerships can be great in this business. They can, I always say partnership, 1 plus 1 needs to equal 3. If you partner with the wrong person, 1 plus 1 can quickly equal 0 or even negative numbers when it comes to your bank account. So here's the first thing to look out for. Somebody comes in with way too much bravado and is way too sure of themselves. That's a warning sign. I had a guy a few weeks ago, and my suspicions were correct. He came in and I was actually partnering with Jaron. If you guys know him, I was partnering with Jaron on the deal, and he showed up at we were selling a house. He showed up and was talking all this nonsense about he flips 100 houses a year. He does this. He's big time. Blah blah. He gets on. He doesn't deliver earnest money on time after signing a contract. He spews off all this stuff about. He literally. I'm not kidding. He said, "Google me." If somebody says "Google me," just run the other way, guys. And come to find out, so people that act this way and have to have all this swagger and bravado and act like they're so big time, usually it's because they aren't. Come to find out, this guy, I asked around a bit. I should have done this before going under contract with him. But he didn't have a pot to piss in. He has to act like he's a baller because he's not. Let me share a quick tip with you. The guys and gals out there that are actually ballers, that are doing deals, they don't have to tell you about it. Okay. Everyone already knows they have a great reputation. They follow through on contracts. When it's time to wire some money, they just wire it. They don't have a story about why they need to send it next week or tomorrow or whatever. They just do what the contract says and they do deals. They have their reputation for a reason. They don't have to tell you about it. Okay. That's number one. The second one, I kind of stole this one from Mike Nuss had a pretty good rant about this on Deal Junkies. But the second one is that they bring up God all the time. Now, before you freak out at me and say, I have nothing against organized religion. I'm not religious myself, but I think religion is a great thing for a lot of people. That's not what this is about. Okay. I know tons of great Christian, Jewish, etc., all types of people that are very religious. And the good ones, God never tells them to go get a widowed grandma to sell their house to them for 40% of market value. Okay. God hasn't done that for them. So these people that are constantly bringing up God and how it's in their head, it's a way to level out the math in their head around, if I'm doing all this sketchy stuff, I need to be a man or woman of God because that justifies all of my actions, and it helps them justify what they're doing in their head to do things that are basically sociopathic. So nothing wrong with a religion, but it doesn't really have a place in negotiations or in this business. I mean, it's an element of your life. It doesn't. If people are constantly going to that, I tend to run the other way. Okay. Number 3, they don't keep we call them like A players around them. What does that mean? It means they're constantly working with beginners. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is because they burn bridges over and over with people who have been around for a while. So they have to recycle to beginners all the time because everyone who's not a beginner knows about them and doesn't want to do business with them. I'm not a beginner anymore, but I fell for this with the guy I referenced just a minute ago. If I just gone out to my network, everybody would have told me to run the other way. I didn't. Because this guy, he can't do business with any of those people because they all know about him. So I'm a new guy to him. So it's not necessarily just beginners; it's people who haven't worked with them before. So they don't keep they don't keep people, they don't do repeat business, is the way to put it. And then the second part of that, the reason they don't keep A players around them is because they are threatened by them. They want, so there's a pie here. They want the entire pie for themselves. They don't want to make the pie bigger and give everybody bigger pieces of it. It's a zero sum game with them. So if this guy, total sociopath, is here and I'm right here, he doesn't want me in the room with him because the idea is that maybe I know how to do something he doesn't know how to do, or I can bring value to these people in some way. And that is a slice out of his or her pie. So they don't keep experienced people or A players around them. Here's another one. Number 4, name dropping. Okay. This I can't keep a straight face, but this happens so often. People, they will find the someone that is perceived to have a really good reputation or is a baller, has a lot of money, has done a lot of deals, whatever, and they'll create a fake relationship with that person. So you can say things like, people, it's a so if somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh yeah, I do business with so and so," that is such a vague thing to say, but it creates a powerful effect of building credibility for them. So it's very easy to say, "Oh, I do business with them." It might mean like one time you bought a house from them 10 years ago, or you know their broker, or you know some periphery person that you could, you know, theoretically, technically say that you have done business with them. So they try to leverage other people's names. Again, much like part one with the bravado, if you have a good name yourself, you don't need to leverage other people's names. Your name is good enough. You have a good reputation. I don't need to name drop anybody because people already know how I do business. Okay. Hey guys, we're taking a quick break, but before we get back into it, if you're enjoying this episode, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us to keep bringing you more valuable content. And if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, don't forget to leave a review. Please, it makes a huge difference. All right, let's get back to it. And this is the last one. This is maybe the biggest one. They create the impression that you need them. Let me say that again. They create the impression that you need them. So what do I mean by that? Okay, if you go to a guy or gal who's a good operator, let's say they're really good at flipping houses, just for example, but they don't have a rental portfolio, they don't know tenant laws, they don't know how to underwrite an apartment complex or whatever. They're just experts at house flipping. If you go to them and ask, "Hey, like, can you help? I'm thinking about buying this rental property. Can you help me underwrite it?" Okay, if they're a sketchball, they'll make you think they don't know anything about rental properties. They're a house flipper. But they'll go, "Oh yeah," and they'll create this scenario where you need them. They'll say something like, "Oh yeah, I know how to underwrite rental properties, but here's what you need to do. You need to give me 10% equity, blah blah blah." A good operator and someone who's not sketchy, they'll say, "Hey, you know what? I'm a house flipper. I don't really do this, but I know Mr. or Mrs. X, and they are experts at the rental property game. Do you want me to make an introduction for you?" Okay. Again, it goes back to, it's not a zero sum game for people who are trying to do things the right way. They understand where they can bring value. If you go to that same person who's the expert house flipper and ask for advice on flipping a house, they'll help you. But if it's not their area of expertise, they'll pass you off. The other person, the sketchy person who you don't want to partner with, all they're thinking about is how quickly they can monetize the relationship. And the way to monetize the relationship is to is to present the idea that they are really important and that you cannot succeed without them, and you need to pay them, and they're going to separate you from your pocketbook. Whether they're helping you or not, their end game is just to get money out of you, period. So what are some ways that we can kind of combat these type of people, that we can vet this before we get into a partnership that turns out to be destructive? Because once you get into one of these partnerships, it can be very, very damaging. I've been lucky enough. I mean, I've gotten into some deals with people that were not good people. I've cut them out of I don't do business with them anymore. I've been lucky enough that those were like one-off, pretty small deals, not destructive. But if you get into like a big apartment syndication or something with somebody, or even a house flip, guys, I mean, you can lose a lot of money just doing one house flip with somebody. You can lose a lot of money doing a rental with somebody. You can lose a lot of money opening a joint bank account with somebody. Like this is high risk stuff. And partners, like I said at the beginning, partnerships can be incredibly valuable or they can be incredibly destructive. So what do we do? Okay, I'm going to give you three things you can do before working with somebody. Ask your network, and preferably ask people in your network that you've worked with repeatedly and people that have a good reputation in the industry. I would recommend not just asking one person. I'd ask four or five probably. And if it's a huge deal, I'd ask as many people as you can. And you're going to get one-offs, or maybe somebody is sour grapes or just had one bad experience with them, but usually, I mean, so I'll reference back to this guy I ran into with this deal a few weeks ago. I went out to my network after I had gone under contract with him, and it was like to the person. My phone was blowing up that day. I'm part of this business group, bunch of people. A lot of them are in real estate, and I just posted it on the group page, and my phone started ringing off the hook that day. All I said was, "Has anyone ever done business with insert name here?" I won't say his name. And my phone just started blowing up that whole day. If I had just done that ahead of time, it would have saved me the headache. I never would have worked with this guy to begin with. So ask your network. If you don't have a big network, I mean, you can ask me. I'm not. I don't want to claim that I'm like the arbiter of who's good and who's bad. But I can be one of your people if you need me to introduce you to other people to help you with that. I will, I'll point you in the right direction, but ask people that you know and trust. And then the person you're going into the partnership with, ask them questions directly. Hey, what was the last deal you did? Hey, what do you have any have you partnered with anybody in the past? How much money did you make? You know, ask them questions, and if they try to deflect or come back to you with follow-up questions, or kind of just like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Oh yeah, I do." Or if they go back to, "Oh, I do business with so and so." They go back to that stuff with name dropping. Back to our five risk factors, name dropping. They have a ton of bravado, right? Google me. You hear that stuff and they can't just answer your questions directly, run the other way. Okay. People that have actually done deals and are good operators, they don't deflect questions. Who does deflect questions? People who don't have good answers to them. Okay. And number three, just run at the first sight of sketchiness. This is something I like to think I learned fairly quickly, but should have learned more quickly. If someone is sketchy over a few $1,000s, how do you think they're going to be over $500,000 or $1 million? It does not get better. Okay, if you catch somebody trying to steal pennies from you at every corner, they'll be stealing dollars from you at the next corner. So weird stuff happening. They ignore. This is a perfect example. Okay, you go under contract with somebody and they just don't send earnest money on time. That's it. I've yet to have a situation where someone did that and they ended up getting the deal back on track. Okay, that's the first thing in an escrow. The first thing that has to happen once you go under contract is earnest money gets signed, or excuse me, earnest money gets sent through. If they can't do that step, how do you think the rest of the transaction is going to go? Okay, it's very, very predictive. I've had it happen multiple times this year. The guy I was referencing from the other day did it. There was always an excuse. So I'll send it next week. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for a refi, blah, blah, blah. Ironically, he doesn't have 10 grand for earnest money, but he's this baller on Google and flips 100 houses a year, etc. So when you see the first sign of sketchiness, take that as a sign of things to come and get out of there as quick as you can. It doesn't get better. So I hope that helped. Next time somebody hits you up, whether it's just to do a one-off deal or form an LLC together or create a joint bank account, do any kind of business together, look for those 5 warning signs I gave you and then use those 3 tactics that I gave you. One more time, we'll go through them. 5 warning signs: too much bravado, bringing God into it, no A players around them, name dropping, or creating the impression that you need them. Okay. And then the three tactics we'll use are to avoid working with these people are to ask your network about this person, ask the person themselves questions to see if they deflect. And then if you get any sign of early sketchiness in the relationship, just get the hell out of there. Thanks, guys. That is a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Saucetown Investor. If you got value from this, drop us a comment and let us know your thoughts. Did you have a big takeaway? Is there a topic you want to see us cover next time? Is there a guest you want to see interviewed? DMs are open. Business is at Saucetown Properties, and my personal, you can DM me personally, is at The Real Matt Cox 4. We'd also like to ask you kindly to please like and subscribe. You can also follow along with the Saucetown Investor blog. That's mattcox444.substack.com. Thanks again, guys, and until next time, keep investing and stay saucy, Saucetown.